helping them? I don't know if that was part of it. Matt's here, he'll explain it. Somehow. I assume Cheryl was turning on the camera, You've been on camera for a while now. I have 5. I'm gonna turn my phone off. Should've done that sooner. Okay, call to order Board of Works for April 26th. Need approval of the April 12th minutes.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Department head reports, Parks Department.
Yes. It's funny you mentioned that. I was going to talk about that. Steve Beeman, Vincent's Parks. We are working towards opening the pool for Saturday, May 29th. That weekend, this past week, our contractors that built the pool came in. They fixed the splash pad. We got some of the things in the pump house that we wanted done. We have water in the activity pool, and the lap pool are filled, and we're putting chemicals in those. So the next 3 or 4 weeks we'll be just doing a lot of the side things that go into it. And then the try is also underway, planning for it, which is the second Sunday of June, which is the 13th, I believe. And that's all.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Police Department.
Bob Dunn, Police Department. This will be for March. We responded to a total number of 923 calls. We effected 33 adult arrests, 4 juvenile arrests, and we filed or requested charges on 44 additional individuals. We investigated a total of 65 accidents, 54 of which being property damage only, 3 personal injury, and 8 hit and runs. They responded to 23 assaults, 10 domestic battery cases, 26 drug investigations, 1 weapon, and we had 19 handgun applications processed. I will be testing applicants Saturday morning for physical agility and Saturday afternoon, this Saturday. They'll be taking the written test at 1 p.m. with the merit board. We still have 17, so that's 1 more than we had the last go around. The window project is right on schedule now. They thought they were about a week or so ahead. They look to be finishing up the last week of May, except for maybe a few problems going around after inspections. They've completed most of the stripping of the windows and replacing the portions of the frame that have to be, and they're actually installing and painting windows at this time.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Excuse me. Street Department, Bryce.
Bryce Anderson, Street Department. We've finished up our crack sealing for the spring anyway, and we got quite a few streets done and some park and different areas that we needed to get done. We've started, last week we painted yellow on down 2nd Street, and we're going to probably do Hart tomorrow and trying to get started on some of those things.
Okay. Thanks, Bryce. City Engineer.
We got wrapped up the CSX project for the east-west corridor. I think they got all the crossings done except for St. Clair Street. They're gonna come back at some point with a local crew and finish that crossing up. With the exception of the first day, we had a little hiccup that first morning. They worked with me to make some adjustments and did pretty well the rest of the way through. And then starting on May 3rd, they will be starting with the same type of work on the north-south line. So I'm working with their subcontractor for detour routes and making sure that certain crossings aren't closed at the same time, similar we did to east-west. And they've already come through and done several crossings with local crews like Minneapolis. So hopefully that eases our closure process with the north-south project.
So you think,
Plus,
will they be here during rendezvous weekend? I mean, that,
No, it'll be done in less than 2 weeks.
okay.
Yeah.
plus 15th Main and Washington Avenue.
Right, the ones we did with the big project, they're already done, so they'll be skipping over those. So
Okay.
this one shouldn't be as painful even as the east-west line.
Right,
Okay,
so, all right.
Thank you.
thanks, John.
New business, open bids for Pantheon security cameras and networking, Mass Ward.
Matt Sword, Southern Indiana Development Commission, and it's the contract award for the security cameras and networking. We got authorization from EDA to do so. The contract amount is for $43,958.30. 630 of that is ineligible for EDA funding. It's for it's a 3-year service agreement with the cameras, and so that's all been approved through EDA. So the EDA funded amount is $43,328.30. And like I said, we've got approval from EDA, and this work is expected to take about a month.
And the reason that comes before us is because we're the lead applicants on the EDA grant. All this money has already been, the match has been made through KCDC, and so it's. really-
Correct. But right, as the city being the lead applicant, contracts and bids are open, things like that are done through the Board of Works.
So we need to make a motion to accept your recommendation for the bids, is that what we
No,
need?
we're just.
Well, you just make a motion to approve the contract
Okay, gotcha.
it would be between the city of Vincennes and VEI Protective Services.
Okay. So I'll make the motion that we approve the aforementioned contract between the city of Vincennes and DEI.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then just as a quick update on the larger project, we will have to rebid that. We've talked to EDA about moving forward on that, and I think they're going to have some more conversations with Pantheon next week. But I would think that we would be able to advertise sometime in May to get that thing moving again.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matt.
Next is First City Music Festival request, Kyler Shields.
Hello, I'm Kyler Shields, representing First City Music Festival. We've been approved to do a festival similar to the Bluegrass Fest that the First City Fest has held before, only a rock and roll festival. So basically I'm here, it's our first year, so there might be hiccups. We've been approved for 1 a.m., but I didn't want to get in trouble if things happen. There's things that can happen, technical things. If it goes past, I don't want our group to be in any sort of, not be allowed to do it again or be in any sort of trouble. I'm the one I booked all the bands. I'm setting the times. We're done at 1 o'clock, but like I said, first year doing it, we might run into some issues getting instruments off the stage on, technical things like that. So I'm basically coming before you, asking for permission to maybe 1:30 or 2 something. I mean, just to be safe. We're going to be done at 1 if things go as smoothly as possible and perfectly. But like I said, there's always room for hiccups. So I didn't want us to, I want to be able to do it again if it goes well. So I didn't want to upset the city or go too late or anything like that.
And I, serve on the Rendezvous Board, and Kyler presented to our board, and also am working with First City Music Festival as well. So familiar with what they're talking about doing. I mean, it's a welcome addition to what's happening with some growing concerts and activities on the French Commons. So I think this is always what we've envisioned. So I'll make a recommendation that we allow the Electric River Jam to operate until 2 a.m. on what would be June 13th for their June 12th concert.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Different than what? Well, I think the First City Music Festival is actually the corporate sponsor. They're operating under their 501c3, so the festival is coming under their auspices. So that's, yeah.
Next is Jesus Day banner request. And you have a pamphlet in your,
Yeah.
it looks like you got everything you need, Paula?
All right.
Okay.
But my name is Indigo Awesome, the president of Jesus Day, and due to the light that we didn't get to have Jesus Day last year, we have been approved for June 5th of this year,
Okay.
and we're going to be starting around 10 a.m. as far as the march, and we were coming here to request police escort as well as request permission to hold the banner as we march down the street as well, and we would like an appearance for the mayor for the proclamation as well as we need representatives from the first responders departments, sheriff department, police, health department, EMS, and Good Samaritan, so that we can give them a certificate of appreciation for their covert efforts. Also, we would like to request that we have 2 police officers there at the event to make sure that things go as smoothly as possible while we're there to keep everyone safe, as well as the animal shelter to be marching with us.
And you've already talked to the animal shelter about?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Okay. And Bob, you can do the,
Okay, so we'll make a motion for the Jesus Day March to approve banners on Hart Street and College Avenue 2 weeks beginning May the 24th. And we'll also honor the request for police escort with the use of banner walking down the street, as done previous marches. And then the other mentioned activities will be up to the mayor's office to arrange.
I'll second the motion.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Great, hope you have good weather.
Thank you.
Next is the alley issue. L.J. Wheeler.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say here. Am I supposed to just tell you the story, or? I have a complaint with All American Car Wash is what it boils down to. People's driving through my yard. I have to pay to either get the ruts covered up, grass, whatever. I buy railroad ties. I buy rhubarb to sit there and keep the railroad ties in. People just take them, move them, whatever. They drive through the yard because All American Car Wash doesn't care whether or not they block the alley. And so whenever they block the alley, people that drive through the alley don't know where to go, so they just go through my yard. Before my yard, there's a telephone pole, so you can't drive through that yard because you'll hit the telephone pole. And on the other side, the guy just bought the vacant house and made it into a rock parking lot. And then on the other side of that is the dentist, which is also a rock parking lot. So I am the only yard, technically, that is involved with this. And I've approached this guy numerous of times. I've got a hold of the cops. I've got a hold of Phil Cooper. We put a sign up. It worked for a very short time. They bought the house. They took the sign down. So obviously that sign is irrelevant now. The engineer that came to my house, the only plan that really came to his mind was a matter of, like, on the side of the highways, putting the little reflectors, the plastic reflectors. I have a toy hauler because I have a Harley Davidson. I have a boat and I have a fishing boat. And I do not think that I should have to accommodate him and try and do this circus of a backup or anything else in there just to, I mean, because like if we put these up, then I have to go through his yard. I don't have to tell you how that's going to end up. The guy's going to sit there and throw a fit just like what I'm doing, even though it's not hurting his concrete or whatever. There's nowhere. This is it. I mean, I went to the cops. I went to the engineer. I went to the city inspector. I went to him, like I said, numerous of times. The resolution is me give up half of my yard because the only thing he the resolution that he has, me sell my yard to him and then drive through his yard to get to my yard. That's his resolution, and that's just not cool. I mean, I've handled this, I think, very delicately. I know I call the cops. I get it. It's a roll of the eyes because it's a nuisance. But to the time the engineer came out and DJ Halter came out because a lady made a complaint, there was a tire mark when the engineer came out that was 3 foot inside my yard on the other side of the railroad tie, so obviously it was moved. Why DJ Halter was there and he was facing it, so I don't know if we can use that or whatever, but they just pulled right up in front of him, blocked the alley and everything else. A red van literally drove through my yard while he's there. He asked me if I want to do something. What's the point? It's that one car. I'm wanting to get this done for the city, not for the one vehicle. I mean, if I put a security camera up there and I see who's driving through my yard because that's the cop's resolution, then I'm going to spend more time in court trying to fight these people, and I shouldn't have to do that. I mean, these people bought this business. I've went through 4 owners. Never once had this problem. I've talked to this guy. I've went through everything. He bought the place knowing the alley issue, knowing the drive-through issue. I didn't buy my house knowing that I was going to have to deal with this. I mean, I am the house owner. We're not renting or nothing else. So I just want a resolution other than me having to do a circus backup. Not that I can't. I just don't think I should have to.
You had mentioned to me that they'd put a cone out there before, and that kind of prevented it.
I didn't hear you.
I said you'd mentioned to me that they'd put a traffic cone out there before, and that kind
yes.
of prevented it.
I didn't think about it because I talked to you. We're going to go with 2.5 years ago. All right, one, I work EMS, so I traveled. I just got back after about 1.5 years, working in another city for, it doesn't matter. I was out of town 1.5 years, right? So there's a hiatus on the complaints or trying to resolve this. But now, before that, they have a fountain out there that runs water. They repainted that to a blue. They put one small cone, I mean like a thing for soccer, out there. Not one person went on the other side of that property, and they stayed inside there and did not block one alley. It didn't matter if it's a 4-door, full-size bed truck or an SUV or a car. I have pictures indicating that there's cars blocking this thing, and come on. If I can pull my truck through there, you can pull your car through there. And then we brought up the cop, and the cops came out. Again, this is 1.5 years, 2 years ago, whatever. And smart aleckly, 2 people carried one small cone, grown people, carried one small cone out there and put it on the property line of the alley and of their property. Obviously, it's funny. We all got to laugh. And then the cop left. They removed that cone instantly. So, this is an ongoing... I've tried everything. This is it. This is... everything's in your guys' hands.
It's not a city problem.
I know.
Neighbor dispute.
Right.
People are trespassing on him. That's one thing. You can't hold the owner responsible if people are
Right.
driving into his yard, whatever the business is.
Right.
I don't know what the
But-
city could do.
I could go with that if whenever the other peoples went there, they went around and they collected money and everything else. So they know to stay in there. Even whenever I took a picture of this lady from Illinois, she got ticked. She called the cops. She's the one that called the cops, and then the owner called the cops because I was taking the picture, which is all fine. But that lady came back 2 days later, didn't block the alley.
The only thing the city can do is either the trespass complaint or the property damage
Right.
complaint or blocking an alley for 15 minutes.
Right.
We've had this problem before where people use city alleys to operate their business.
how about if myself or the city inspector go out and talk with Mr. Chat and say, hey, how about, no. No. And see if they can't just put a cone out there every day they're open and see if
I
it
even
solves it.
volunteered to put the cone out and take it back when I got off of work.
Before we get too far along, let me get a little bit of involvement. You can look at the trespass. Do I think the prosecutor's gonna file a trespass charge? No. I think what we need to do is see if we can get the owner to stop his clientele before it hits the alley. And then as they have an opening, can pull around. But again, it's like the city attorney said, it's up to the business owner to meet us halfway.
Right.
And it's the same way, if we're gonna file blocking the alleyway, it's gonna be a city ordinance, and then we're gonna have to file that, and take that to court. So I think that the way to go is, and then you're still gonna have to deal with the people coming in from College in the alleyway. I mean, all his clientele would have to come off of 7th Street, and they would have to stop and wait until there's an opening for them to come through the alley and pull up to where they give their money. Wouldn't you agree?
I said the same thing.
Yeah, but I think that's what we have to look at trying to accomplish.
Well, we'll try to talk with the owner first and see if he just won't politely put out a cone to help stop this. And
Now, on a side note, like I indicated to you, and I mean no disrespect to anybody else, but there's a lot of people that doesn't know how to back up, drive adequately. He had a little shed out there, and it was set off 4 foot. I measured it, 4 foot off of the alley. And at that point, it was really not, we had people driving through, it wasn't that big of a deal. The thing of it is, we're getting into rainy season, there's a slope, and it hits the privacy fence. We've had to replace it. We put it up, they hit it again, so we just left it open. So I mean, heck with it. But their shed is all the way up against the alley. I mean, if what Chief says doesn't happen, I mean, I'm thinking if they move that shed over to their other property, that opens up a big area where people that doesn't know how to back up or feel uncomfortable backing up because of whatever, because it's a very tight squeeze, that opens up that a lot to where they don't have to worry about that accident or clipping a mirror or whatever the case of it is. I mean, that shed is just their storage thing. I mean, they got a whole parking lot over there that stores 4 cars. They have plenty of room over there in that lot. I know that's not ideal and whatnot, but I mean, that opens up a lot, and if they do come through there, that gives them plenty of room to back up or feel comfortable to back up. Other than that, the only other one I have is exactly what the chief said. I mean, nobody's gonna, I can turn in 100 trespassings and spend every day in court, and it ain't gonna do nothing besides make me broke because I can't go to work.
right.
Something that we might talk to Dennis about, when he tore that house down, he told me that he was possibly gonna move his oil change out there onto that lot where the gravel is. So if that's so, it would give people a lot more room if that oil change would get moved.
Not that that's wrong, but they have plenty of room now, and I mean, still can't do it, you know what I mean?
It
Right.
would help allow them to get over it.
Right, I mean, that would help out considerably. I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to be difficult on this. I'm just saying, we went through this scenarios multiple times. We just now didn't have this other parking lot. I didn't know of this information, but, I mean, they do have plenty of room. I mean, the engineer that came, it wasn't that gentleman, it was the other guy. He said he has a 4-door full size, and he goes through there all the time, and he makes it easy. I mean, you know what I mean?
So they have to
We-
back up before they can get into the tunnel?
No, they can just whip right on it.
I know, is that where people are backing up because they can't?
No.
No, they're not backing up. They're just driving through my yard. There's no backing up. I've even
It's-
became where, because, you know,
It's because a car gets in the line to get in the car wash, and a car comes down the alley, they'll go around that, which
Right.
forces them into his yard.
right, they come
Because that
from
vehicle's in the alley. That's the
Harrison
problem.
side.
That's why you have to stop them on his property.
Right, that's why-
One at a time.
That's what the other owners used to do. They used to walk around and get the thing, and it was like essentially a moving cone because they're walking around, so they stay on the inside so they can give the gentleman or lady or whatever the money. It was essentially the exact same thing. Like I said, we
I don't
went through
know that
4
we-
owners, and this is the only time I've ever had an issue.
I don't know that we can force the car wash owner to not use, let people use the alley or that stop them from using it, but we can ask him to work with us and try to. You said they put a cone up before when they painted the
Right.
water, and it kept people on his property for whatever reason. Maybe if he'll try that again. Other than that, that's the only thing we can probably do is talk to the owner for you.
And just so if that doesn't work, I have an option of what?
I guess we'll write people tickets for blocking an alley.
Well, we have to make sure it's
Becomes
stop
a civil
correctly,
Yeah.
city signs, and then we'd
Huh?
have
I don't know, it's, hopefully Mr. Chatton will work with us and work with you.
Ideally, I mean, I try to handle this all neighborly. I mean, whenever I pull my toy hauler out or I pull my boat out, I do it after their business hours or prior to their business hours, so I don't block their traffic.
Right.
Because I know I gotta make a wide turn, it's a 22-foot boat. I mean, but, I mean, I'm making arrangements and making it a little bit more
Right.
unease, because I don't wanna park my boat out on the road all night long, but I am, so I don't have to mess with them in the morning whenever we depart to go to the lake.
Okay.
It's a cone. I mean, if
Right.
I'm doing this, why can't you put a cone out?
Right.
That's how I look at it.
We'll see if we can't get something.
Or let me put a cone out. I mean, I'm okay with that too.
Okay,
I mean, but they just take it, so.
all right.
Thanks.
Do I need to stick around? I'm good?
Nope, you're good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next is street closure for the beer garden, Vincent's Brewing Company.
So what you get for being last on the agenda, Jeffrey?
It's all right. So I was in front of you guys about this time last year. We did a beer garden music event in June last year.
Right.
It went over very well. I know that was it's a year ago. It seems a lot longer with COVID and everything. We are looking to do that again Friday, May 21st. We're requesting to close the block down about 5 o'clock till about 11. And I know most businesses are closed by 5, so I don't think it would mess with too many businesses down there. So, and the only other thing is if it rains, we'd like to do it Saturday if it rains Friday.
Okay.
So pretty much the same thing we did in last year in June, just maybe make it a little bigger since COVID restrictions are down a little bit now instead of where they were last year.
Okay. So we'll make a motion to approve the street closure on Main Street between 2nd and 1st on Friday, May the 21st from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. with a backup plan for a rain day on Saturday, same time.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good
Thank
luck.
you,
Great.
gentlemen. Thank you.
See ya.
Anything under miscellaneous? If not, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.
26, oh my goodness. Yep.